Hi everyone, Jared here with Day Traders FX. I hope you guys had a great, wonderful weekend. Got some good rest, and I hope you're ready to get back to the markets. We've had a great start to the market, to trading this week. I'll show you a few of the setups that I'm talking about, but just quickly a look at the U.S. markets. You can see things close in a few minutes, 12 minutes or so. Um, Dow, not too exciting, just about flat, a little tiny bit positive. Excuse me for the day. S&P's up a little bit, which is pretty nice. And gold has made quite the recovery. We're going to look at that chart for a moment. Oil's even recovering just a little bit. So we'll have a little look at all of that stuff. You can see that as far as news goes, we had existing home sales came out a little tiny bit worse than expected. Not too bad. And then if we go into the rest of this week and into tomorrow, what we have coming up, we do have a pretty good calendar this week as far as news goes. So we have the German and French PMIs coming out. We have retail sales for Canada. We have new home sales for the U.S. We have interest rates for New Zealand. So it should be a pretty good one. And then Australia, we have the CPI for Australia tomorrow as well. So we'll talk about all of that, a reminder in the daily wrap-up session. But we've got some pretty good stuff in the works. Okay, so we had a nice UK session to start the week off, grabbed some nice trades. We closed out our pound dollar trade for 110 pips. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And we opened up another one, which is currently up about 45 pips or so. We'll talk about that. But let's look at this euro dollar. I talked a little bit about the euro dollar and what I think might be happening here. So far, I think on the weekly chart, I really like this head and shoulders pattern that's forming on the weekly chart. Now, we've just bounced off the bottom of this channel. We're coming up off it pretty nicely. And you can see that the euro dollar also has almost a pin bar right here, so that's almost good, but at least the two shoulders are very parallel, so hopefully this is a nice run, a nice setup for a big run down on the euro dollar, which I'm still hoping for, and I think that we have a pretty good chance of the euro dollar really heading south. But this nice big weekly, remember this is the weekly chart, head and shoulders pattern, should really give us some nice movements down and get this euro into the low 120s. So that's ultimately what I'm looking for. On the daily chart, and as things look there, nothing too exciting, nothing too different on the daily chart. Very short-term, small head and shoulders pattern possibly in the works here. So we'd want to stay below, about the 130. The high of both of these shoulders, I'd probably want to stay below about 131, 30, 40 area. If we start getting above that, that's going to invalidate this head and shoulders pattern. But right now it's a really choppy, small-looking one, and if it can stay below that area, the next 60 pips or so, then we should see a very nice rundown on this euro. Here's one thing that I am looking at though. This is a very nice pin bar right here, and something that I've continued to mention is the 200 moving average on the daily chart and the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart, and we still can't seem to get below those. Now you can see this head and shoulders pattern a little bit better on the 4-hour chart, and it looks pretty good here. But this guy right here, this little pin bar, this nice crazy bullish hammer, is definitely going to put some pressure on the upside. Now we had a big nice pin bar right here, and it caused some pretty good downside movement. We got some decent activity out of that, but we have to watch this guy right here and the fact that we have failed to get below the 200 moving average a couple of times. And so if we don't get below that sooner than later, then this could really start more of a rally on the euro dollar. As far as short-term setups go, nice little hammer here, and we've run up on the 1-hour chart a bit. I'm sitting out the euro dollar for the moment. I don't see very super clear, exciting entries just yet, and so I want to just make sure that we have some better, clearer entries before we start doing much. But I just want to make sure that it's known that we should really keep an eye on the 200 moving average on the 4-hour and the daily chart. They're both about the same area. I've talked about this a bunch of times. It's the 130, 20-30 area. So we need to get below 130 to really start a big sell-off and a big rally into these lower targets of 129.40 and 128.75, and then and on and lower and lower. So that's what I'm looking at and looking for, and I think we'll have some good activity coming up on both of those. So that's kind of where I am with the euro dollar. Now the pound dollar, we actually got into the pound dollar during the UK session. We were short last week, pound dollar from 153.50, so we got in just about perfectly right up here. We did this a couple of times. We shorted up here and got out, in this area down here. We shorted once again up here at 153.50, and we got out and took over 100 pips profit. And now we're back in down in this region here, long. because of a couple of things. So the pound dollar's got this nice little channel that's been in place, and I was looking for this bounce off of this support and off of this channel. So we got in against 15200 because 15200 doesn't seem to be able to break too easily. So this daily channel is definitely something good to keep an eye on. And that's one of the reasons we got in. And another reason is that the pound dollar, here's something that I just can't shake, and I don't know, I hope that the pound dollar can really continue down, but it may not be able to, and part of that may be due to the fact that we have a very nice hammer. This is the monthly chart. When we have monthly hammers and shooting stars and pin bars of sorts, that's something we don't want to ignore, and we definitely have that here on this monthly chart, and that is what's getting me a little bit cautious and curious and thinking that we might actually end up seeing a rally on the pound dollar as opposed to a big move down. I still think we've got a chance of a big move down on the euro, but the pound dollar, I don't know if we have that. I think we might actually be peaking or bottoming out just a little bit and potentially heading back up into some of these bigger targets, missed weekly pivots and so on that are like at the 155 and 157 and 158 areas. So I'm just keeping my eye on those. I think those are very real possibilities, and I want to make sure that we're totally ready for that kind of a movement. So again, we're long pound dollar. I don't have any additional entries on this pound just yet. Remember, it's the beginning of the week, and we just want to be kind of careful and patient and not try to jump into anything. And for the moment, this will be a great time to be careful and patient and just kind of watch these setups. There's a lot of chop and a lot of things going on here that we need to kind of get a little more into the week, even into this evening and tomorrow, and kind of see how things are moving there and start to get some better, clearer entries. So I'm long, we're long in the group pound dollar down at this area here against 15200, below 15200. I'm hugely bearish, and I will probably get bearish again if we get up and test this 15400 below that area. I'll try to sell, but we're just in a middle zone, and I don't see any entries that I'm interested in just yet. We are kind of struggling and bouncing off the 200 moving average, and I'll keep my eye on that. But for the most part, sitting tight and waiting for a little more confirmation on this pound dollar. Aussie dollar, this thing is heading down nicely. We've had a nice little almost a reversal candle right there. We have a missed weekly pivot, remember, so we have a pretty good chance of this Aussie dollar at least popping up at some point as high as 60 to 70 pips from current market price, and reaching that missed weekly pivot. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. We have a nice little hammer here on the 1 hour chart. We haven't made much of a run away from that, 20 pips or so. So this could potentially be a good area to just look and see if we can get a bit of a run. And this is probably something that I'll be looking at here is a long against this weekly low so far. The Aussie dollar seems to have quite the ability to make weekly highs or lows at the very first couple hours of trading, and then big reversals come after that. And so, it's just stuff to kind of keep an eye on. You can see that we've got some little trend lines that are kind of breaking. That's been tested a couple of times. We're just breaking against that. So I'm getting interested in buying against this 102.30, 2030 area with a target of the weekly pivot and the 200 moving average and so on. So I'm short term, I'm looking to probably get very, very short term long on the Aussie dollar just to short it again up at these upper areas, 103, 30, 40, 50 in that general zone there. But it's pretty choppy. You can see that that these channels are pretty crazy. And so that's where I'm just trying to be real careful. We have a nice reversal candle on the monthly chart, and that's looking pretty good. So that'll hopefully drag this Aussie dollar down. It continues to fail at this 10600 area. You can see a lot of reversal candles here, where we've had a shooting star, pin bar, another pin bar right here, and so these are all areas that will hopefully really push this Aussie dollar back down south. So I'm more bearish Aussie dollar, more bullish pound dollar, and I'm more bearish, I guess, euro dollar, but I'm not 100% confident on that one yet. But I think pound dollar is probably going to rally, and I think the Aussie dollar is probably going to continue dropping. Gold's recovered quite a bit. We had a low of last week that we're off of, $104, which is a good bit. This is making a nice big recovery for right now. It doesn't mean that gold's finally done dropping, but it's retracing a little bit, so we're going to keep our eye on that. And the yen pairs are moving around quite a bit as well, so we're going to be looking at some more yen activity in the afternoon session. So make sure that you join us. You can go to daytradersfx.com, get a free trial to the trading group, and you can join us for some of these big, nice movements that I think we're going to have. We had a very, very positive, successful week last week, and the week before, and the week before, and I think we're going to have another one this week. So look forward to having you. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at DayTradersFX, and we'll see you guys in the chat. Thanks, everyone.